All right, everybody. We're back at it again. This is the Cain Stevens Super Show. I am your extremely strange host with the most, Cain Stevens, and I've got a super guest. He happens to be the man, the myth, the legend, the guy behind the Elegant Sasquatch as well, our amazing and wonderful sponsor. We have none other than my old friend, my pal when it comes to wrestling, my tag team partner. We got Kris Davis, everybody. So
Hey, how you guys doing?
how are you, man? I'm so
Oh,
glad to
dude,
talk to you.
I am great. I am living the dream, man. How you doing? You all right? I
I'm
love the
doing
mask,
good,
by the
man.
way.
I
Good job.
yeah, I got the lucha mask on. I'm ready to tag in whenever you're ready. I see all your
Oh, awesome.
wrestling gear. You got the legendary poster behind you. Uh,
Yeah,
you've
yeah.
got everybody's signature on there, man. You've almost
Um,
have it complete.
I'm trying. I'm trying. I'm trying to get everybody from like the middle '80s when I started watching wrestling to
Yeah,
like the middle '90s ish.
right.
All the legends before they die because they are kind of dropping like flies nowadays. You know what I mean?
Man, it was I contacted you. Well, we talk anyway, but I contacted you especially after Terry Funk and Bray Wyatt died because man,
Yeah.
I was sad. What you said to me kind of stuck to me too. Was like, yes, the Bray Wyatt thing is very sad, but I think the Terry Funk thing hit us harder even because it was like Terry Funk was such a legend. Chainsaw Charlie, all those cool things that he did, in ECW and WC. I mean, everything you could think of that Terry Funk did. So I mean,
Yeah.
what
He
did
was.
it do to you, man?
I mean, he was wrestling since I think I heard something about him starting in the early or late '60s, and he
Yeah,
was wrestling all the way up until what, like 10 years ago, which
yeah,
is
isn't
a
that nuts, man?
ridiculous,
And they
ridiculous
taught
amount of time.
everybody too, didn't they? They had like a school. I
Yeah,
think the Funk Brothers had a school.
yeah, they had a school, and then they also had a whole promotion back when the territories were around
Yeah,
down in El Paso, northern Texas, southern Oklahoma area where they
yeah,
ran, and then they also used to go down to Dallas and then Houston and all those sections down there. And then Terry Funk was huge. I mean, like unfortunately, we kind of caught him at the back end of his career. Like,
right.
was he didn't at least for us because we didn't really have ECW in Nebraska when we were growing up until it hit mainstream cable, and by then it was already watered down, and we missed all the good stuff.
Right.
But yeah, like I remember watching him as Chainsaw Charlie,
Yeah,
and
Chainsaw
and
Charlie
then I
was
had
the
to go
best.
back. Yeah, I had to go back and watch some of the stuff that he did with Flair, and then the great rivalry he had with Jerry Lawler, and the empty arena match that he did with Lawler, which was great because he was screaming about his eye. You made me blind. You my eye. I was dying when I heard that. It was so great.
Well, some could argue that he's as legendary as Flair, in terms of championships. And I mean, because
Mhm.
he's been a big deal his whole career. So I think I'd be in the same camp as that and say that he was as big as Ric Flair at one time for sure, but had an illustrious career.
See, what stinks is he's not going to go down on that Mount Rushmore of professional wrestlers
Yeah.
because of his hardcore background or his hardcore stuff and his comedy stuff.
Yeah.
Like when he was the reason. I don't know if you've ever seen the video of the ECW video of it raining chairs at the arena
Yeah, yeah.
where he asked for a chair and then they just bombard the ring with like 300 folding chairs. It
Yeah.
was because of him that video exists.
That was like the
But
coolest moment, I think. Like I remember showing my wife some
uh,
ECW stuff, and she's not into wrestling, but she will watch it from time to time. But I was watching that particular deal, and she was like, "What in the hell is going on? Like they're throwing all these chairs in." It was a crazy moment, man. But I mean, think about all the you're in the epicenter of ECW, man. Like
yeah,
you're like,
yeah,
how far are you from? You're like a stone's throw away, aren't you?
I'm 10 to 15-minute drive depending on traffic. It's right where
Yeah,
I am in New Jersey. It's on the other side of the bridge from Philadelphia. Like you go to the end of my town and you can see Philly from my town.
yeah,
So I'm like I said, I'm right there, 10 minutes in there. I usually go to that arena as there's a wrestling program slash meet and greet of the wrestlers. It's called Icons of Wrestling, and they
yeah.
usually have a show twice a year. There, I was there back in early July, and and I met a bunch of people that I haven't met before. Met my all-time favorite tag team of Demolition, so I
Yep.
kind of popped as a little kid. I met a lot of people there, but there's also a ton of signings in this area and a ton of meet and greets and wrestling promotions, and plus, I got Philly there, so we get all the big time wrestlers. So we get WWE and AEW
Yeah.
and ROH and Impact. They all come here because it's a major metropolitan area. So
Right. How do they treat the WWE when they're here? Like do they treat the WWE good when they go to your areas?
the last time I went to a show, it was the go home show before Mania when it was under no, it was Brock and Bill Goldberg.
Oh,
It
yeah.
was that show, and I will say, it was a sold out crowd because WWE a lot of times will sell out. It's usually the Wells Fargo Center that they perform in. They usually sell out pretty well there.
Yeah.
This one, when Roman Reigns was getting booed, it was so much louder in person than you would think you've seen it on TV. And
I imagine,
they,
man.
they do a lot of miking of like a masking of the sounds and a lot of you know putting in sounds too.
Yeah.
So a lot of times you'll hear, oh, somebody's chanting, get a table. That's them putting that sound in. They usually don't. A lot of crowds don't put that in there. So
Yeah. So it's safe to say that you've been to a ridiculous amount of wrestling shows. I'm jealous, man. You're probably living the lifestyle that I probably was meant to be.
you know what? I've been. There was a good probably 10-year period where I stopped watching wrestling. Like I want to say like right after Stone Cold retired,
Yeah.
probably the whole ruthless aggression era. I just completely missed. I'm like,
That's when I tapped out too. I'm like rewatching it now, and it feels
yeah,
so like I came back in later in life and I just needed something, man. And I love wrestling anyway. But yeah, I don't know what it was about it because when I go back and watch it, it wasn't that bad. It was like
yeah.
there's some pretty good stuff. There's also some really terrible stuff.
Oh, absolutely.
But yeah, you and I probably tapped out at the same time, man.
I also gave up cable, so that
Well,
didn't help. And only having dial up, we couldn't stream things like we could now, but like we can now. So
yeah,
trying to get some sort of feed was stupid, or it just wasn't worth it. So I just, like I said, I was out for a good probably about 10 to 12 years, and then I came back in and gone through the highs and lows of wrestling now. And
right.
I mentioned this to you all, like a week ago or so. People fall in love, or people love the wrestling, or fall in love with the wrestling when they start watching wrestling. So
Yeah,
we grew up in the golden era of the Hogans, the early Flairs, the Macho Mans, when everybody had a character and they weren't just a person.
yeah,
You know what I mean? That's what we fell in love with. So nothing is ever going to top that,
yeah,
but the storylines are starting to get there. So
yeah.
which is nice.
That's a disconnect that you and I had talked about before, and we'll talk about again is with AEW. And I've been so excited about AEW. I felt like it was going to be another WCW. The look
Oh,
of it,
absolutely.
the chant, everything. But man, the disconnect is their storylines are awful. Like nothing connects to it. Like none of the matches make sense. They keep bringing
Mhm.
in like even on like Wednesdays, their big days, they keep bringing in people that you don't see except if you're
Mhm.
watching AEW Dark for like a
Yeah,
match here and there. And it's like, but it makes no sense. Like, let's have a storyline. Let's have like big
yeah,
rivalries that go on
yeah,
and on. That's what we want.
yeah. Like the problem with AEW is Tony Khan is too much of a fan of the wrestlers,
Yeah.
not the business. That's the biggest disconnect because he doesn't do long-term stories. He does short-term, basically 2 weeks at a time, and that's it.
Right.
I mean, and then on top of that, there's a point in time in wrestling for blood and violence. I get that. That like in a story, if it's done well, if it's done correctly, it's done well.
Yeah, of course.
But when it's in every match, and when your first match, you have four chair shots and somebody going through the table, what the hell's going to happen at the end of the at the end when you get to the main event? There's
Right.
nothing left for you to see. So what? You're going to break out a regular wrestling match and have no violence at the end of your show when
Exactly.
everybody's ready to go home? That's going to bore everybody. And
Man, and
I
it
put
was crazy when they started too, because they had they had like fat Chris Jericho, which was weird for us to see, and not that I'm gonna body shame him by any means. It's not
no,
like I'm
yeah,
a
no,
male bikini
no, he,
model, but it was weird because we know how we're used to seeing. And then
yeah, it
he
was
must have.
Chris Jericho ate Chris Jericho.
Yeah,
Come on now, that's what he
exactly. And it
looked
was
like.
like he was getting a lot of crap for it, man. But he was looking sluggish in the ring. But then he lost weight and everything, and he kind of looks like back to his old self and all that. But man, it's kind of a weird love in wrestling, because it's not like some people would make fun of guys like us for liking wrestling because of these big chip dudes and all that. But to me, it's not about staring at their even though I am making a comment about Chris Jericho's body, it's not about me staring at their body. I just like the storylines. I like the characters. I mean, my favorite
And
wrestler of all time is the Macho Man. I'll always go down as that. He to me was the epitome of a man. You know what I mean? When it came to the
oh
ring,
yeah,
he reminded me of my dad. I know you loved your dad very much too. My dad was one of my heroes. And so
yeah.
when I see the Macho Man and everything, it was like he kind of embodied what I thought my dad was when I was a kid.
See, with Macho, he was, as people told in the past, he was a very intense guy in and outside the ring. So
Yeah.
basically what you saw in the ring was him outside of the ring. And
Yeah.
for a wrestler to be a good character, you have
Yeah.
to take your personality from what Stone Cold said and turn it up to 11.
Right.
That's what makes a great wrestler and actually for on the mic wise. You
Yeah.
can be, horrible in the ring. Like I've seen a lot of people, a lot of wrestlers be great on the mic, but just absolute garbage in the ring.
Yeah.
And like if that's paired up with the right combination, you have a good thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for
Um,
sure.
but it's just that those type of people are few and far between. And then a lot of times when you have somebody that's good on the mic, they don't exactly know the company that they're working for doesn't know what to do with them. Because WWE is so scripted, they have to stick with what the writers wrote and don't really want you to veer off too much because a lot of the wrestlers don't have the mic skills like they did back in the day.
Yeah.
Well, on the other hand, AEW just lets you say whatever you want, whenever you want, curse, not curse. They don't care because they got a billionaire backing them up that will pay whatever fine the FCC levies. But it's just like you have to have somebody that will be able to talk, and like that's why I love MJF so much
Yeah.
because he did a signing here last month, and the whole time he was there, he was telling people off,
Right.
and people were loving that, were digging that, and were paying for that.
Yeah.
At one point, there, I didn't go to this signing; a buddy of mine did, so I'm hearing the story secondhand through him. As he's in line, there's a father and son that went through, got an 8x10 autograph by him, and then MJF tore it up. About an hour and a half later, the same guy comes through with that same torn up 8x10 in a frame. I'm
Yeah.
like, what other, if this was a regular celebrity, like they would be crucified by the media.
Yeah.
Oh, look how he's treating his fans. Like, how can you do this? That they pay for your stuff, and then he would basically be canceled for doing something like that. And wrestling, it's kind of looked for, upon you actually want to do that.
Yeah.
You want to get some sort of what they call heat in the business. You know what I mean?
Well, he's the best at it, right? For
Oh
sure. I
yeah.
mean, I'm sure there is a bidding war for him often whenever his contract comes up, because he's the best heel in the business.
Oh, 100%.
And if the audience doesn't know what a heel is, I mean, a heel is the bad guy. I mean, if you're listening just now and you've been living under a rock and have no idea what wrestling is, I mean, go back and watch some of the best heels in the business. And there have been so many villains, so many people. I mean, Ric Flair was a face, the whole time. But man, that's another thing, is a guy like him, he was hated by a lot of people. He was bordering being a
Yep.
heel. He was telling people how rich he is and how stupid
Yep.
and poor,
Yep.
insulting people, and people loved it. They loved that.
100%.
I think wrestling fans, I get tired of us being called idiots or this and that, because I think we're some of the smartest fans in all of because we get it, you know what I mean? We
Oh
know
yeah.
who to boo, we know who to love, we know all the backwards stuff. But why do wrestlers get such a bad rap? Why do people think that we're all a bunch of dummies?
It,
Is it just
it,
because
it
we're watching grown men beating each other up, or what?
that, it goes back to the 80s where, everybody had, like I said, some sort of gimmick. You
Yeah.
were a plumber or an undertaker, or, you had something, and it was more theatrical, I guess you want to call it. I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, and to be honest with you, it's a lot of guys that say, hey, why are you watching this stuff? Because women just don't care what we watch, to be honest
Yeah.
with you.
They
My
don't
wife
care.
does. We just don't care. They just don't care what we watch. Um, I mean, and then a lot of times, like, and especially the guys that say, "Oh, you still watch that stuff," which means they watched it at one time
Right.
and then they gave it up for some reason or another. They outgrew it. I mean, it comes and goes. There are times when I just stop watching wrestling. I get that. Like, I'm like,
Yeah.
there's something I could better be doing with my time.
It's
But
a
it's
good go
just
in and out type thing,
exactly,
yeah. You always think
exactly.
like I'll listen to podcasts about wrestling and I'll listen to all this and I'll know everything that's going on, but I won't even watch wrestling that week or many
Yeah,
weeks. And
yeah.
it's not, and I'll go back and watch it eventually if something piques my interest, but there's a lot of dead time too. I mean, Raw
Oh, 100,
with that 3
100%.
hours, gosh, there's probably 1 hour of decent stuff, and the rest of it's always kind of been garbage, except for
Oh,
when we were kids. Like when
yeah,
we were in that heyday of the war
yep,
between. I mean, it was like it was lit. You were switching back and forth at all
yep,
times between
yep.
WCW and
Oh, absolutely.
yeah,
See,
Raw.
I don't know about you, but the way I did it was the first hour was WCW because I wanted to watch the Lucha Libres, the Chris
Yeah,
Jericho, the Rey Mysterios, the Dean Malenkos. The second hour was the heavyweights, so that was the Rocks, the Stone Cold. So that was WWE or F at the time.
right.
So I'd flip over the channel, and every once in a while I'd flip over, but yeah, so it's not like that anymore. You don't have they don't do the weight classes anymore, which is
Yeah,
kind of weird.
it is weird.
But like like you can legitimately go in and out of a storyline and not really miss much for a couple weeks, opposed to, let's say, you're watching a soap opera and you miss, let's say, a month. Four people could have got shot, two babies could have got stolen, and somebody could
Yeah,
have got ran over, and you would have not known what just happened.
right,
So it's oh, and then going back to the point where people saying it's fake, I'm like, yeah, so is Marvel. I mean,
right.
so is Batman. We don't go around, oh, this is fake. I don't want to watch it. I don't want to see a guy jump out of an airplane with a little bit of parachute that may or may not come out of his back. I don't want to watch that. No, it's fake. I don't want to watch it. No. See,
And
wrestling
that's the
fans
thing.
don't.
Speaking of us being the smartest fans in the world, if you ask me, we all know it's fake. That's the thing. We're
Mhm.
not idiots. We know it's fake, but we also know from listening to interviews and stuff, watching it all these years that it is and it isn't, because these guys are in legitimate pain all the time. These
No,
guys are putting
absolutely.
their bodies, their lives on the line for our entertainment. And
Exactly.
that there's something to be said about that. I mean, watch any match. I'm talking,
Mhm.
go to any match, watch a match on Raw, AEW Dynamite, any of that. You'll see many times where the
Yeah.
person, the guy probably got injured or
Yeah.
was very close to being injured. These guys are
Yeah.
professionals.
And I've been in a wrestling ring a couple of times.
Hmm.
There's a professional wrestling school not too far from me, like 10 minutes from me, and they throw birthday parties there.
Yeah.
And my daughter's been to a couple of them, so we go in the ring and bounce around. That's not. People look at it and say, "Oh, it's so springy." No, that is plywood on top of metal. That hurts.
Yeah.
Like, just, and then on top of that, you gotta make yourself fall down on top of that over and over again. Of course, you're gonna end up with something along. I mean, I fall down the steps every once in a while. I throw my back out, and I'm out for a week. Let
Right.
alone trying to do this on purpose.
Exactly. Well, look at Hulk Hogan. I mean, Hulk Hogan has had every surgery in the book on his hip, everything, and he's barely walking around. I mean, but it's like all of our heroes. It's sad to see them like this now, but man, they're all a
Um,
mess because they took those bumps all the time. And if you don't know what
yeah,
bumps are, I mean, it's the way they're falling. It's how they have a certain way where that, like, especially when they get slammed, where they have to fall flat on their back a certain
yep,
way. And if you watch it in slow mo, which they do show quite a bit, not as much as they used to, you can see that perfect form that they're doing. Like they're such
yep,
good pros at turning their bodies. And
yep.
then there's like the lucha stuff scares the hell out of me because it's like I don't know how they twist and turn people on some of that stuff. Like it's pretty nuts how quick they are.
on top of that, they go at 100 miles an hour all the
Yeah.
time. They don't stop. So, yeah, they're more prone to messing up and really injuring themselves. Was it
Yeah.
Hogan? Hulk Hogan said he's had over the last 10 years like 25 back surgeries.
Right.
Um, like I guess when he was wrestling, he was like 6'8". Now he's like 6'4" because of the back surgeries,
Yeah.
and that I completely believe 100%. There's not one wrestler that's retired now that's walking up straight. Not
Yeah.
one. Not one. Not at least not that I've known. That I've ever met. And I've met a ton of people. There's not one person that's in the wrestling business more than, let's say, 3 years that can walk up straight after they retire.
Wow. That is so
So
wild, man.
yeah, like because when especially with the older wrestlers, the ones that were in the 70s, 80s, and early 90s, they they traveled a little bit worse than they do now. They don't fly everywhere. They're stuck in cars after wrestling for an hour or whatever. And then on
Yeah.
top of that, the rings were a little bit more sturdier, so they were more heavy when you hit them.
Yeah.
It's one of my wrestler friends said it's like every time you hit the mat, it's like two having a car accident every time you hit,
Yeah.
going at like 40 miles an hour. And I'm like, oh, jeez. And you're doing that 20 times a match?
Well, and think
Mhm.
about the really big guys, right? The really
Yeah.
big, and they're suplexing each other off the top rope or whatever.
Yeah.
Can you
Oh, yeah.
imagine the collision those two massive bodies are having when they hit that floor? Like it's crazy.
I stubbed my toe and I'm crying for a
Yeah,
week. I mean,
yeah, exactly.
I couldn't imagine doing something like that.
I
No.
can barely get out of bed from just a career in electrical that I've had, like
Yeah.
so it's crazy what they put themselves through. But
Exactly.
when you and I were kids, we obviously had the same love for wrestling. I know
Yeah.
the stories that I do want to tell. I want to tell everybody about a special time with you and I where we were in high school and
We
I
were
think it
dorks.
Lincoln, Nebraska missed out on a huge opportunity. We
God,
could have been the
so,
epicenter of the best backyard wrestling
oh
this
God, it
side of the
was
Mississippi.
so
You know
bad.
it. We
So
so
bad.
Kris and I were gonna start. I can't remember how we propositioned each or came up to each other, but I remember we had some conversations, right? Maybe at lunch or
Because
something.
we had our same computer class back in high school.
That's what it
Me
was.
and
Okay.
me and Cain legitimately go back to the 80s.
Yeah,
We grew up together, so
we
we
did.
went to the same grade school and then went to the same high school together. Because I moved out and went to a different middle school, but
Yeah,
we've known each other for probably 35, 40 years
yeah,
probably. And so we go back and we had a lot of the same classes in high school.
we did.
And it was one thing, it was like, oh, you like wrestling? I like wrestling type of
Yeah.
thing. And then that's what it was.
But then we had that we cooked up the scheme, right? We had this scheme that we were going to go down to Cablevision, which was the local cable, and we were going to talk to them about getting on public access, and we were going to do a backyard wrestling league
God, we were so
or
idiots.
something. And I remember I told you the other day, I can remember exactly what my gimmick was. I've always been obsessed with Friday the 13th, but I had this stupid cheap black Jason mask, which this has been done a billion times, by the way. So I thought I had such a individual thought that really wasn't. And then I painted it black and I had this red like a splatter on it, so it looked like blood. And I was gonna call myself, I don't know, the Reaper or Dr. Death or something,
I
and
think
just
you were going to be the Reaper and I was going to be the Executioner. I think that's what it
yes,
was.
yes, that's
Yeah.
exactly what it was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I just, because this is how much of a dork in high school I was. I used to walk around with one of those toy wrestling belts,
Yeah,
and like I had the heavyweight championship one, and then
right.
somebody else, I forgot who, had like the intercontinental one,
Oh,
and then we would just steal it back and forth from
oh,
each other.
you mean like these type
Oh,
these
yeah,
little
but
kid
I had
belts?
the WWF one. Yeah,
Here
yeah,
with
yeah.
I've got the these are the only belts I have left, but I've got these little I got the what Stone Cold era WWF one. I got, Rick. When I think of this belt, I think of Ric Flair
Oh,
with the
absolutely.
WCW belt. But yeah, I got these prominently displayed in my room. I'd love to get them autographed. I always wanted to make this one an NWO one,
Oh,
like
do it, do it,
Hollywood did, but
do it.
I can't bring myself to ruin it.
I mean, when I went back home, when I went back to my mom's house, what, 7 years ago,
Yeah.
I was going through my closet in the room my mom still kept for me, and like I found the belt.
Yeah.
I was like, I actually, to be honest with you, I think I brought it with me back to New Jersey, and I think it's
Right.
downstairs in a box. It was
Yep.
the double Eagle belt, the original
Yes.
WWF, like
The
the
good one.
heavyweight Hulk Hogan one, the good one. And like
Yeah.
I said, I used to walk around in high school with that, and people used to steal it, and then I would have to steal it back. And
Yeah.
that,
Man, I
yeah,
used to pit I had the tag team belts, and I used to pit people when I had my we had our karaoke business. I used
uh,
to pit people against each other, like the ones that would want to sing like the dumbest songs, like Picture with Kid Rock, and like everyone wants to sing the same song. So I used to get so mad, and I would just make them I'd make them sing it back to back to back or whatever, and then they could take their picture with it or what. But everyone always wanted to steal it, obviously, because it's cool, even as little kid belts.
yeah, I
And
heard you talking about that a couple of
yeah, yeah.
episodes ago.
The
Yeah.
sad part is though, is I had that and some sombreros, and of course they walked off pretty easily. And then I put out a hit on whoever did it, but I never got anything back. So
What you're talking about a bunch of drunk folks walking out with a sombrero? That would who would
well,
have
yeah,
thought
like
that?
that's not going to happen, right? I know
Oh
I wasn't
no,
very
no,
smart about it,
no.
especially with the championship belt too. I mean, I'm not so sure if I was in a drunk guy at a bar and they just had him there, I probably wouldn't, try to
Oh,
walk out.
I know. I would have walked down. I'm like, what you gonna do? Fight me for it? Come on,
Yeah,
let's go.
exactly. Well, it's funny when you have a wrestling belt like that, people start to, it's like their vibrato starts to kick up a little bit,
Oh, absolutely.
I'm
I
instantly
still
feeling great right now being the champ. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know, like maybe we got a shot at the backyard wrestling again, Chris.
I still think that people, the fans that bring wrestling belts to live events and to signings should have to defend them right there.
They
I
should. Yep.
mean,
If you get
I would
challenged,
walk out. I would walk out with like 40 belts on each arm if that was the case.
of
'Cause,
course, I would
I'm a
prey on
big,
the smallest guys I saw, and the guys I knew for sure.
I'm a big fella. I'm very intimidating. I don't, I'm 6'6" and 310. I'm a big dude.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's just yeah, absolutely. We should defend it.
Well, I'm not as tall as you, so I would have to go for like the guys who are like 5'2", the guys that I could really pummel.
You know what? No, I'm sorry, Kane. Just go after the women. You'll be all right.
Yeah, yeah. I'd have a collection of women's belts, you know what I mean? I
Hey,
don't
there
know.
you
There's
go.
some pretty feisty ladies out there. I don't think I could handle pretty
Oh,
much
you do
anybody.
that out here, you're gonna get your butt kicked. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm probably not doing it at all. I would have to wear the mask to hide, so they didn't know who I was for
Hide
sure.
your shame.
Yeah. Man, what were we thinking though? When I think about those times, I did go to the meeting with the guy about checking out cameras and everything, but what happened, man? Like we chickened out or something. Like what did
We fumbled the bag, man. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was we had to get like I guess I want to say we had to get what's the word I'm looking for? We had to get waivers signed by the parents, I guess.
Yeah, yeah.
And a lot of people, a lot of the parents said, "What are you doing?" No,
Yeah. Why would they want him to, because I was planning on jumping off roofs and all
Yeah, I
we'd have
wanted
been
to
dead
light a
instantly.
table on fire.
Yeah.
I'm like, I had all these ECW moments in my head before I knew what ECW was.
Oh
Yeah,
no.
absolutely.
Man, what were we thinking? That's the
Oh,
only thing I can say about this particular segment that we're talking about. It's just I don't know, man. We just had a severe love for it. Me and my friends in our neighborhood, like our little square of Air Park, in West Lincoln, we had like a wrestling league that we had of our own. And so we
mhm.
would like jump off tree branches and I remember I beat my buddy Dion I beat him for the title because we had our little belts and stuff too. And he let me beat him, but it was like it was all planned, but he let me beat him with the DDT because back then, it was Jake the
Yeah.
Snake and the DDT. And so I held the championship of this stupid little league that we had for probably about 6 weeks, and then I got the crap kicked out of me, and I became a tag team with Dion. But yeah, those are like my most fondest times, man. Like we
Oh,
even would
absolutely.
wrestle out in the ice. Like when it would snow, we would have like ice wrestling matches, which is so stupid. I can't believe I didn't die.
I mean, we had something like because I think I lived maybe 6 blocks from you growing up
Yeah,
in grade school. We had something similar, but it was like six of us. Just kind of beating the crap out of each other, but not really beating the crap out of each other because we didn't want each other to go tell our parents.
yeah.
So We were like, all right, I'm gonna kind of punch you, maybe not. I don't
We
know.
should have
I'm gonna try this
challenged
move.
your neck of the neighborhood. You know what I mean?
We
We
should
could have
have.
had a hell of a match.
We should have,
At least a
and just
battle
say, hey,
royal.
that tree over there and that rock are the ropes, and then you go
Yeah,
from there. Yeah.
exactly, man. I'm so glad to have a friend of all these years who has a love of wrestling as much as I do. I would say probably
Yeah.
more for you because, well, I don't think my old lady would allow me to buy a bunch of wrestling stuff. I mean, instead I get by being a
Oh,
musician. So I go,
trust me. This right here is what you see for my wrestling
yeah,
stuff. This is it. I mean, this is it. Like
it's hard talking the old lady into anything, you know.
like she like I have my other memorabilia hanging up. Like I got a wall of I'm a big Universal Monsters fan. So,
Yeah.
Dracula, Frankenstein, I got a wall of that. I got a Hellboy signed poster hanging up. I got an Army of Darkness poster hanging up.
Yes.
I just got randomness everywhere.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, throw in the sports memorabilia. I don't buy a lot of stuff. This right here, this is my I'd say my pride and joy of my collection.
Yeah.
This has right now about 15 autographs on it.
How close are
Uh,
you to completing it on the
oh,
signatures that you want?
um, Probably say about 60% because I'm starting
Yeah.
to run out of room.
Yeah.
The bigger people that are on there, so like the Hogans, the Undertakers, Shawn Michaels, Triple H, or The Rock, or Stone Cold. Once that they're on this poster is done. I'm retiring it, I'm getting it professionally
Yeah.
framed, and it's going somewhere else.
Yeah.
Then I have to start over. But yeah, it's just this is the memorabilia that I collect for wrestling. I don't go anything deeper than that. I don't have the money to go anything deeper than that.
Who really
Oh,
does, man? Like I'm shocked at all the crap that I have in my you can't
no,
see the room that I have back here because I hide it with my stupid 7-year-old face
no,
behind me. But
no, no.
um I have a lot of cool stuff, but a lot of my stuff is like music, I it's a music studio, so I have music
Mm,
gear and all that stuff. So
yeah.
it makes the most sense to me to like I collect like vintage radios because people will sell them for like $2 a pop or whatever.
Mm.
And I've got some of the coolest like radios from like the 50s and stuff like that,
And
60s.
you're turning those into your EPV things for your ghost hunting, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, that's my goal is eventually to switch them over with an audio jack and do that sort of thing and make them like really
Nice.
cool. Yeah.
Nice. See, now you can just say, hey, honey, this is a tax write-off. This is for my business.
Right.
I have to have this.
I have to have
That's
it.
what I
Yeah.
would do. That's what I would do. It's for the podcast. I want to air this. I need this for this part. And
That's how I collected guitars before. I could get away with it, like, oh, I need this for this tuning or that tuning. But eventually she wised up and she's like, you probably don't need 16 guitars. So I
uh,
had to weed that out pretty quickly, especially once my health took a turn for the turd a while, a few years ago. I sold pretty much everything I had. And so now I just got like a core amount of stuff. So that's probably for the best anyway.
there you go. I guess you don't want to keep the stuff that really means a lot to you.
Exactly. Just what I can enough that I can give to my kids and they can do with it what they want, If they want to light the guitars on fire or whatever, I'm cool with
Or
that.
Jimmy Henson
So
style.
yeah, whatever they want to do, it's not going to matter to me, but if they want it, they can have it. Hey there, fellow follicle enthusiasts. We have a sponsor that's about to make your beards go wild with delight. Brace yourselves for the one and only, the elegant Sasquatch. Are you ready to unleash your outer beast?
Cain, I've been waiting for this moment my entire bearded life. But tell me, how can the elegant Sasquatch help us awaken our inner beasts?
Oh, my hairy companion, the elegant Sasquatch has a treasure trove of beard products that will have your whiskers partying like it's the wildest night in the forest. From their aromatic beard oils to their beastly balms and buttery concoctions, they've got everything you need to make your beard sing with joy.
I can almost hear my beard belting out its own rendition of I Will Survive.
Your beard is in for a treat, my friend, and here's the best part. Every single product is handmade with love. Picture this, a team of Sasquatch artisans rocking their aprons and wielding their grooming tools, crafting beard goodies that will blow your mind. It's like a hairy fiesta of craftsmanship.
I can see those Sasquatch artists dancing with their combs and trimmers like they're on a hairy stage.
Absolutely. These bearded maestros pour their heart and soul into every bottle of beard oil, every tin of balm, and every tub of butter. They're like the Michelin-starred chefs of the beard world, creating culinary delights for your facial hair.
My beard is salivating in anticipation.
Well, get ready for your beard to do a happy dance because the Elegant Sasquatch has you covered from all angles. Their beard oils will make your whiskers as smooth as a buttery glide. Their balms will sculpt your beard into a masterpiece that would make Da Vinci jealous. Their butters will leave your beard softer than a cloud made of marshmallows, and their washes will cleanse your beard with a scent that's fresher than the waterfalls in the Rockies.
My beard is ready for the bearded revolution.
You can find the Elegant Sasquatch on Instagram and Facebook. They're ready to share their hairy wisdom, showcase their bearded customers, and entertain you with memes that will make your mustache curl with laughter.
I can't wait to join the hairy community and bask in the glory of their bearded memes.
So, folks, get ready to let your beards run wild. Unleash your outer beast and head over to Facebook and Instagram to find the Elegant Sasquatch. Trust me, your beard will thank you, and you'll be the envy of every bearded creature in the virtual forest.
Here's to smelling like a wild creature and embracing your inner Sasquatch.
Cheers to that, my fellow bearded brethren, and stay elegant with the Elegant Sasquatch.
So, I mean, I know you and I have kicked around some ideas. I would love it if you would do a wrestling podcast with me sometime. I mean, I know there's 8 billion of them out there, but I think you and I could do pretty good on that account.
Two fat dads talking wrestling. I'm down
Fat
for
dads
it.
talking wrestling. What more do you need, right?
Exactly. I bring out my Rooster Lucha Libre match from the basement, and we'll call it a day. Go to town.
I mean, if not that, we have a bright future in like the old TGIF shows, Fat Dads or something, and that would be our except for in a sitcom situation, we'd be like Fat Dads in Love or something like that. So we're not going there.
No.
We're not going there. But anyways,
can I just be the neighbor that you only see from over the fence? Can I be that guy?
Yeah, I guess. I guess whatever it takes, maybe we wouldn't be in love. Okay, we could be like Full House, like two fat uncles that live together or something. And also talk wrestling.
Yeah, it's gonna be a stretch, but sure, Cain, why not, bud?
Well, think about all those ridiculous premises for old sitcoms. Like I watch Pluto and all these. It's what's really strange, Kris, is that I feel like all the entertainment I consume, I would say 90% of it is all nostalgia based. I watch the old Unsolved Mysteries every day. I watched Quantum Leap this morning. It's like my whole mind and my whole life is stuck. All the wrestling that I watch is old, wrestling from our childhood and everything. It's like I don't want to consume anything new. I don't want to move on.
Because a lot of new stuff is just rehash of the old stuff,
It is,
I don't know if you've seen the new Quantum Leap show or not.
I did, yeah.
I don't want to. I don't want to.
No, tell me what you think of it, man. I'm dying to know because that's my favorite show of all time is Quantum Leap.
I don't want to watch it. I don't. I know. Yeah. I don't want to ruin the original one. I don't want to watch it. That's the thing. Like, especially with the movies that are coming out, they're remaking of a remake, and I'm like, you're killing the original one. Stop doing this.
Yeah.
Every once in a while, you'll get that curveball where the remake is actually better than the original one. Like, take for example, The Evil Dead. The original one was fantastic back in the 80s.
Right.
The new one that came out in 2015, 16?
Yeah.
That one was actually pretty good. That one, I actually liked that one. The last one was trash, but that's besides the point.
Right.
So,
well, and even like the newest Texas Chainsaw Massacre that they had on Netflix was complete garbage. I mean, the way they did Leatherface, it was like, can't you guys just at least recycle the mask to make it look cool? But I mean, they just changed like they didn't change the premise, but they changed so much of it. It was just like it was hard to watch, man. It's I don't know why they do it.
That is like most horror movies nowadays. Like I'm a big horror movie fan, horror movie buff.
Yep.
And a lot of the stuff I just can't sit through the garbage. I'm like, I'll watch a movie for 20, 25 minutes. Oh, like, okay, that's the killer. I know it's gonna happen.
Yeah.
And then if I see the remake, I see the commercial and I'm like, no, I'm good.
Yeah.
And then, God forbid that Rob Zombie gets a hold of anything, then I'm definitely out. I'm like, no, I'm good.
You hated the Rob Zombie Halloweens then?
I hated that. Funny story. For my birthday, I forget which theater in Lincoln, the one that wasn't at East Park, the one that was across the street at that strip mall right there.
Right.
They were showing House of a Thousand Corpses, right? For like 3 showings one day.
Yeah.
My mom, I think I was 19, 20 at the time. My mom took me to go see that movie. I don't know if you've seen House of a Thousand Corpses, but
Oh, I'm as big a horror fan as you. You and I are basically the same person.
it is, and for the people out there that haven't seen it, and it's an extremely weird horror movie.
Yeah.
Like Rob Zombie did a lot of cut scenes in that. After the movie, my mom looked at me and she was like, "Kris, what the hell did you bring me to?" And I'm like, "Mom, I don't know. I had to watch it like 2 or 3 times to actually fully understand it and fully get it." But yeah, it was out there. So
With that movie, it was like, to me, it seemed like all the ideas were great. It had, especially the beginning and how they lure him in and everything was great. But then he always seems to lose you as it goes on. Like, he wants to smash so much into the film that it makes no damn sense at all. But I mean, the premise, I still like watching House of a Thousand Corpses, but I can't watch the other ones though. The other ones I felt were completely dumb.
I love Devil's Rejects.
Yeah.
That's probably my second favorite Rob Zombie movie, right behind the El Super Bisto movie.
Oh yeah.
That one's my all-time favorite. I find that hilarious. But my issue with the Rob Zombie movies is he keeps casting his wife in everything, and she can't act. She has one role that she's kind of good at, and that's all she can do.
Right.
And so the minute I see her in a movie is the minute I turn that movie off.
Like the Lords of Salem. The Lords of Salem had a great premise to it, but every time
I got 10 minutes into it.
Yeah, it's completely discombobulated, and it's not as good. The premise is good, but nothing else about it is good. Like the movie,
I forced myself to watch that god awful Monsters movie on Netflix.
I didn't do it because of your because of what you said about it. I didn't watch it.
I want to stab my eyeballs out with about 1,000 toothpicks after watching it. So bad. So bad.
Of 1,000 toothpicks in the
we got to write a movie now. That's
we
it.
got to. He gets a lot of hate. I actually liked the direction he took Halloween in, and I can say the reason is this. Okay, I can watch those 2 movies. The second one, the way they ended it was strange. Okay, but like at least the first the first one that he did, where they kind of visit the kids, past and how Michael was as a kid and everything. I thought that was a really cool way of doing things. I like the casting on the most part. Yeah. But man, they get so much heat for it, and they just, people hate the Rob Zombie movies so much. But is it really? Is it because no one can really replace how good the originals were, though? Don't you think it's somewhat of that?
It's that, plus he takes such a left turn like halfway through his movies.
Yeah.
A lot of times, like the first 3 movies that he did, the House movie, the Devil's movie, and then El Super Bisto, those were fantastic. And then he's just like, I'm established now, and then I can do whatever I want, which is okay. But you can't constantly take a left turn and have it be new. It's kind of like M. Night Shyamalan.
Yeah.
I can't stand that guy because his movies they're all trash. I loved his movies where it was Split, Unbreakable, and Mr. Glass.
Those are great.
Glass. I love those movies, but everything else he did, I'm bored.
My only argument on that is the Village. You know what I mean? The Village was a very interesting premise, and the twist was like a major twist at the end. Like if you haven't seen it, here's going to be your point to tap out.
The movie's 15 years old. You're good.
Yeah. By now, if you haven't seen it, shame on you. But I mean, they end up not being, and they're in like a somewhat like a compound or something, like just separated off from the rest. But it's like regular. So if you have to, and that was vague enough, or at least I didn't ruin it completely for you. But I like the premise of that movie overall. And I can remember seeing it in theaters and being blown away by the end. He's good at twists. I'll give him that.
When, like I said, I love those three movies he did. Everything else, I'm like, the minute he has a movie, I think either out or coming, it just came out,
Right.
probably like 6 months ago. I saw it on one of the streaming services yesterday, and I'm like, yeah, I'm good. I'm
Yeah.
good. I'm just gonna bypass it. I just can't watch it and
Is that
stuff.
the one on Peacock, A Knock at the Door or whatever it
Yeah,
is?
that's what it was. Even though Batista's in it, and
Yeah.
I heard good things about it, I'm like, I'm gonna be disappointed and I'm gonna be angry. And I was gonna
I
ruin the
watched
rest
it
of my
with
night.
my wife, and like most movies, I'm old, so I fell asleep probably a quarter of the way in. So and then I wake up at the end, and I always this is like classic what I do. I wake up at the end and then I kind of get enough of it and then I pretend like I saw the rest of the movie when everyone knows I was snoring and being annoying the whole time.
I laugh at you, but I did the same thing at Black Panther 2, but I was in the theaters. I was up for the first 20 minutes because I had worked earlier that day, and
Yeah.
I go to work at an ungodly hour. So anything past 7:30, you got to take your chances on with me.
Yeah.
So I watched the first 20 minutes, fell asleep, woke up the last 15 minutes, and pieced the movie together just in that alone. And I'm like, I'm good. I don't need to see the movie.
Right.
And
It's almost
and I
better,
went
isn't it? It's like
then
reading
I
a
went
book at
back
the
and watched
beginning
the
and at
movie,
the
and I'm
end.
like, I didn't miss a single thing with me being asleep.
Yeah.
This is the most expensive nap I've ever took.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And especially in the area that you live, like I complain about taking the family to the movies, but you live on the East Coast and
Oh, it
it's
sucks.
ridiculous. How much is it? Like let's tally it up if you had to. If you had to take your whole family, get the snacks and everything, how much do you think it is?
First of all, I sneak everything in, so I
Well,
don't
yeah,
pay
we
for it.
all do that too. We hit
Well,
Walgreens or whatever.
tickets are, if you go at night, anywhere from $15 to $20 a piece.
Yeah.
And I got a 15-year-old, so she's an adult.
Yep.
So I'm probably dropping close to $100 every time you go see a
Yep.
movie. Anything after, like, let's say 2 o'clock or whatever.
Well,
So
we always sneak in like candy and stuff. Like my wife has like a movie purse, or otherwise it's gonna be me stuffing them in my jeans and everything else.
really, Kane, be honest. It's your purse.
Yeah, it is my purse. Okay, I'm just gonna.
You keep saying it's your wife's, but it's really yours. It brings out the color of your eyes. That's why you wear
It
it, right?
does, man. It's a massive purse too. Like it reminds me of like in the 80s when like every movie had like a mugging if they showed it's like one of those that you would want to have if someone tried to mug you so you could beat the hell out of them with it. It's a massive purse.
That's hilarious.
The mugging purse. No,
It's the
we
one that
smuggle
you
in
pull in.
everything. We hit Walgreens because Walgreens has all the cheap box and all that stuff. And we spend like, but the sad part is we spend like $50 in candy there. And
Yeah.
then we all get popcorn and drinks. So by the end of it, between me with the family of five, we're probably dropping 120, 140
Yeah.
bucks by the end of it all.
That's why I know out here, like once a week, I think it's on Tuesdays, there's a certain theater out here that runs $5 movies all day. So
Yeah.
you try to hit it up then if you can, but there's just not a lot of movies out there I just don't care about, and especially since they go into streaming relatively quickly. I'll be perfectly fine not
Yeah.
watching on the big screen. But there are some movies I'm like, nah, I gotta go see that one. Gotta go see that one.
Well, let's hit the
I'm good.
nostalgia for all the Lincoln people out here. Let's talk about Starship Nine, man, and how sad it is that I can tell you that I would spend an entire day there. I would go to the same movie at least 6 times in a day because it was so cheap. What was it? $1? It was $1.25, $1.50, or
Yeah.
$1.50, and we'd go there.
The
Yeah, they had
yeah,
WrestleFest there in the
the
arcade.
last time I went to there, this was, what is that, 92, 93? The year Groundhog Day came out.
Right.
Because me and my friends went to go see The Sandlot because that was there. And then we snuck into Groundhog's Day, and I was like halfway through that movie when we went in. I had no clue what the hell was going on in that movie. I'm like, what? I'm good. And me being like 11 at the time, I had no clue how funny that movie actually is.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't get this. What is this movie? And then we tried to sneak into a couple other movies, and we ended up getting kicked out. And then we went across the street to the arcade that was across the street.
Yeah.
I forget the name of the arcade now.
Coin Fun, right?
I think that's what it was. Yeah,
for sure.
And then we spent a couple hours there, and then we went and got pizza, and then we went home. So,
Man, it was a hell of a time to be alive. And we could, like my friends and I, we would either take the bus or we would ride our bikes downtown from Air Park, which is a pretty good trek, but for kids, oh yeah. You never did that? How'd you get there? You guys got dropped
dude,
off?
I lived. Okay, so where our high school was, I was like 10 blocks from our high school.
Yeah.
Because where I lived, it was in between 6th and 7th Street.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
So I lived there, so I wasn't too far from downtown Lincoln. I was
Yeah.
maybe a 5-minute car ride at most of traffic, depending on the day and football. I was 5 minutes from downtown, so I was like, you could see the stadium from my mom's porch. I was that close. Yeah.
When did you
So
guys move that? When did you guys move out of Air Park?
93.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, 93. Yeah. So when we went into junior high, I moved out. We my parents bought a house in town, and then we went from there. So
The rest is history. Yeah.
yeah,
But that was a
yeah,
different
basically.
time. We could go downtown as a bunch of kids and we could
Yeah.
raise hell. But it was like we had a good time. You know what I mean? I don't see a lot when I go downtown now here. I mean, you're in like a big metropolitan area, so I don't even know what it's, but here, if you can remember Lincoln, you don't see like large groups of kids our age, like from them walking around because there's a bunch of, crazy people and everything else happening. It's probably not a good
Oh,
idea.
you do that here, and it's usually caught on film, and
Yeah.
usually the kids will beat the snot out of somebody.
Oh yeah.
I've
They
seen
played
that
the
happen
knockout
more
game or
more
something.
than one time. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I hope that
but
our little nostalgia, this show in particular is basically just a nostalgia show. I think both you and
yeah.
I are probably so nostalgic. It probably is. We would rather live in the past.
But you know what? I before we go any further, I actually want to say congrats, man. The show's starting to blow up.
Thank you, man.
I'm proud of you, man. Keep up the work, man. And
Hey,
anytime you
man.
want to come out, anytime you want to come out here, I'll show you around. We go out to the haunted places.
Yes.
There's so many haunted places out here. It's ridiculous, and you would kind of you would dig it.
Oh, I would die for it, man. I mean, I would, if I could figure out a way to put together a trip, I would definitely come out, man. And
You should.
like I told you before, I'll sleep in your bathtub or whatever. Or hey, maybe I'll even spring for a hotel room so I don't have to inconvenience.
I'll pull out the couch and sleep on that.
You got any animals? You got dogs or anything?
No, I just got a 15-year-old, and then me. I shed like a dog,
Yeah.
but that's
You're like a werewolf, man.
I am. I can't go outside anytime soon.
Well,
But
let's talk about that beautiful beard of yours, man. I mean,
absolutely.
since we have the format to do so, and I'm jealous because I can't grow a beard the same amount. I can grow this patchy, like you can't see it, goatee.
You're talking to the right person. I can help you. I'll send you out a package soon, and with all your with some goodies to help you
Tell
out.
us about the Elegant Sasquatch, because people are now starting to respond to me and they hear our goofy ad, and we're gonna have some new ads coming up, and they like it, but they're like, what's it all about? What is this Elegant Sasquatch? Tell us more.
I've been growing a beard for 10 years now. And to be honest with you, when you first started running these, I thought nobody was going to take you seriously because it's a supernatural show. You're talking about a Sasquatch. Nobody's going to take you seriously. So I laugh every time I hear the commercial that you run. It's hilarious. But I've been growing a beard for about 10 years now. I've been making my own products for about 5.
Yeah.
Almost 2 years ago, people around me, mostly the guys I work with, because I work in a warehouse, they're like, they see on my beard and they smell it because all my stuff smells really good. They're like, can you give me this? Can you give me that? And I'm like, yeah. And give me a couple of days, I'll come up with something. And I'm making products. Then they'll be like, oh, and like a month later, oh, can I get some more of that? That was really good. And then later on, it went more and more. And I'm like, I'm going to make a business out of this.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, all right, I got to think of a name. And then I came up with this name, the Elegant Sasquatch, not realizing there's about 1.5 million names for men's grooming companies that are named after Sasquatch.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm big, I'm hairy, it fits. I should be in the woods somewhere playing hide and go seek. But so I started out with just beard oils, and I'm like, all right, I think I got the formula down. I'm gonna go from there, and then I moved on to balms, and then I made butters, and the last thing I started making was beard shampoo, which is really great.
Yeah.
Um, I'm working on the website right now, so please forgive me. I'm not that great, and it's taking me some time to get it up. But I do have a Mercari page, so you can find me on Mercari. You can always and then you can also find me on Instagram and Facebook. Shoot me a message if you guys want to order something. I can send some samples out to you if you like it or not. Just let me know, and I'll be more than happy to help you out. If you have questions, I'll help you out as much as I can. Yeah, we can go from there. Like all the stuff that I make, and I tell people this, it's nothing like the stuff that you normally find in a grocery store or in a store that you buy your beer products at. It doesn't smell like lemons. You don't smell like furniture or patchouli. It's not like that. This stuff smells like a cologne that you would want to wear out. And
Right.
I've gotten more feedback from guys saying I get so many compliments just from this. And I'm like, great. I'm finally getting, medium ugly guys dates. It's working. So yeah, that's the main reason. That was probably the main reason why I started it. Like I was just getting tired of the stuff out there in the market and what it was smelling like. Plus, it was expensive. You don't shop for beard products, but you're going in the store, you're looking like $20 for like an ounce of beard oil, and I'm like,
Yeah.
it has to be cheaper. So the stuff I make is relatively inexpensive, but it smells really, really good. And then I got my new fall line coming out probably by the end of the month. It's in the testing process right now. So I just got to hear back from my testers.
Well, the
So
misconception with guys with beards is that they all smell bad or that they have like a bunch of food in their beard. But I mean, I'm looking at you right now. I mean, your beard does look healthy, man. I mean, I'd run my hands through it if you'd let me, you know what I mean?
I mean, sure, Kane, for you,
Maybe
anything,
just one
anybody else?
time,
No,
not
no,
a
no,
bunch of
no,
times.
no. No, that's the biggest thing with people that are growing beards. That first like month and a half, 2 months,
Yeah.
I get a lot of, oh, I stopped growing it because it was itchy and I couldn't stand the itching, and that's just because it's not conditioned correctly. And
Right.
that's what my products do. I have one of the softest beards I've ever seen on anybody.
Yeah.
And I'm not just blowing my own horn. It's just it's a super soft beard. But it's conditioned, and the biggest thing is with people, you have to have a regimen. You can't use it once a week and it completely help all your problems. You got to use it more than once for it to be effective.
You
So
got to follow the directions of what of
for
what
the
you're
most
supposed to.
part, I mean, I tell people it's kind of like if you're on medication. What's going to happen if you miss a day or miss 2 days? Your
Right.
body's going to react. Your hair is going to do the same thing. Your hair gets thirsty just like the rest of your body does. So.
Well, my problem is like my facial hair. I have patches. I think it's from when like I probably split my face open or something, or my chin, I should say. But
Mm-hmm.
I have it looks like you're looking at a globe. You know what I mean? Like a continent here. Here's
Oh,
Africa over
yeah.
there. I don't
I
have.
got I have a bald spot right here that nobody
Oh,
really
but
sees.
you
You can't
couldn't
really
tell
see it,
because you
but
got that beautiful beard, man.
oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And there's some things that will help, and I'll give you all the secrets
Is
after we
your
get
hair
done.
long too? Like, do you grow your hair out?
No, I shave my head on purpose. I have a full head of hair, but the thing
Yeah.
with me is I'm cheap, and I
Yeah.
don't want to go to a barber shop every 2 weeks to get my hair cut.
Yeah.
So I bought a $16 pair of clippers like 20 years ago, and I've just been cutting my hair since. Just makes it a lot easier, wash and go type of thing. So,
Well, my
but
my kids don't believe that I have hair because I've shaved my head since high school, and they always call me bald, and I'm like, I'm not bald. I have a great head of hair, and I can grow it
yeah,
fast, but they don't
yeah,
believe it. So I always make this bet that I'm going to grow my hair out in a year. My daughter has like long, beautiful hair,
uh,
like looks like cousin it if you put sunglasses on the back of her. And
and
so I made a bet with my wife, a $500 bet that I could grow my hair out, and within a week's time I nixed it on me. I said I just can't do it. Like I don't like the itchy feeling. I shave it every week. It's not happening.
seeing the crazy thing is with the products that I have, that is like they will all work for your hair on your head
Yeah.
and your skin too. So like the beard butters actually will double as a really good body lotion. because they are shea butter based, so that they hydrate your skin really well. But no, I can remember when you had a head of hair back in that picture behind
back
you.
in the
I
days I
remember
had a
that.
pretty good head.
Yeah, way back then. I remember those days, but like I said, I'm just cheap and I'm lazy and I don't like going to the barbershop every 2 weeks, so I just don't like just shave my head off. Plus, it makes my beard look bigger than what it actually is.
Well, you can see a picture of me behind me. I mean, the problem is my mom gave me this ridiculous bowl cut,
Oh,
the
dude,
kid behind.
we all had that haircut in the
Yeah.
80s. I had that with the rat tail and the
Yeah.
line on the side because I was a winner. Yes.
The rat tail is the deadliest move in the world. Like if you can't pick a lady up with a rat tail, I mean, what are you even doing, right?
Oh, I mean, are you even living at that point? I mean,
the rat tail is probably the most hideous invention for hair, except for the mullet, of course. But
no. Don't hate on the mullet. I would rock a mullet if
I can't hate on the mullet because I mean Hulk Hogan has had a skullet for how many years, and he's a hero of ours.
The rat tail, if you guys don't know what that is, it's a little patch of hair about that big that sits on the base of your head where your neck meets your head. And you just let that little 1-inch square grow out, and it looks like a rat tail coming down your back.
Man, you could if you had grown it out enough, eventually you could have looked like the guy off of Bloodsport. That he faces when you. Is that what you were trying to achieve? You could have like whipped it around and.
I don't know what I was trying to do. Like I said, I was yeah, I had problems growing up. Like, just put it like this. I think my mom dropped me on my head a little too many times.
Oh yeah. Hence why we're talking here on a podcast.
Yes, and you're right. We're in a lucha libre mask, and I'm in a Hawaiian shirt. Yes.
Yeah, I'm in a garage sale luchador mask.
There you go.
Whatever you do.
But yeah, but going back to my story, like I said, if you guys have any questions, feel free to contact me on Facebook and Instagram. It's the Elegant Sasquatch Grooming Company, or Beard Company. I forget which one it is. It's one of those two. You'll see a picture of a looks like a giant monkey with a bow tie and glasses on, red glasses and a red bow tie. That's my page. I'm the owner and operator, so I do everything. So if you're texting or messaging those pages, you're talking to me directly. I make everything by hand, which is kind of crazy. So everything from the labeling, which I have, I make all the labeling by hand, do all the bottling. I make everything by hand. So there's not a product
outsourcing it to China or whatever,
No. I tried. The shipping costs are way too much.
Yeah.
But
that's the problem. You have to ship with them too,
Yeah. So like I said, I do have the Macari shop up right now. And then if you're in the South Jersey, Philly, Delaware area, I'm usually at the flea markets, the trade shows, the farmers markets every weekend. A lot of times you'll find me at the Berlin Farmers Market in Berlin, New Jersey, or Cowtown, which is in, I want to say Vineland, it's down by Williamstown, New Jersey. Yeah. If you're in the area, you know where that's at. So.
Well, and I'm glad I wanted you to promote here towards the end of the so that's good because I want people to get on this amazing product. I really do appreciate you letting me use my platform to it fits my show. I feel really well too, not and it means a lot to me because I know you. I'm a friend of yours, you're a friend of mine. And we're soon to be on, ABC sitcom Two Fat Dads, right?
Yeah. So like I said, I want all the best for this podcast. I want this podcast to blow up because then I could say, hey, that King guy, that weirdo, I knew him back when he had like 4 followers.
Yeah. And if I just keep the 4 followers, you'll just go, well, Cain's a weirdo. I mean, you can just
no. I know that guy that has the 4 followers.
Yeah, exactly. I'm one of the 4 followers.
Exactly. I'm number 2. His wife's number 1. I'm number 2. Right?
Oh well, and the thing about me is I don't have any ego when it comes to. And I think I learned just from being a musician and messing up so many times. My ego is out the door. Like I just don't care anymore. People ask me stuff like that all the time. Like if it bothers me, this or like, why would it bother me? Like I'm talking about stuff with. It's basically this show is just this is your life for me. I get to talk to friends, people that I about ghosts and all sorts of stuff. What's better than that? It's basically just a way for me to pretend or lure people in. I should not pretend's not the right word, but lure people into being still being friends with me.
No, like I said, Cain, me and you go way back.
Yeah, man.
And like things haven't changed. We're still the two dorks that we were back in '97. You know what I mean?
We're the same people. My offer still stands, although my wife will disagree, and yours probably will too. The Backyard Wrestling Club can still happen.
Oh no! If we're gonna do this, we're gonna do this professionally. And they're like I said, we're gonna go to the wrestling school down the road, and we're actually gonna have a real match, just one. I can have one, and then I'll retire, and I'll be happy because I'll have one match under my belt. That's all I want, and it's nothing but hip tosses and arm bars.
It'll be a lot. It'll be a slow match, man. I'm ever since I got my pacemaker and stuff, it would be something. Maybe I would die or something in the middle of the show.
You're gonna come out to the ring with a walker.
Yeah.
Hold on one second. Okay. But yeah, so like I said, I want this thing to blow up. I want, hopefully my company's doing big things right now.
Yeah.
We're slowly growing. Like every month I'm getting more and more orders, which is great. Right now, if you go into my shop, I will say my shop is kind of low because I had to do a restock, so I'm getting everything in. So it's going to probably be another 2 weeks before it's actually fully back up and going.
Right.
Once it is, follow me on social media, and then we'll. I post every time there's something new drops. I post stupid memes like the commercial says.
Yep.
And I do give out tips and tricks on how to grow better, more healthier, fuller beard if you want to do it that way. And then we're gonna go from there. I'm telling you, the year of the chubby guy with the beard is upon us, man.
Oh,
Women find guys that look like us with beards. We're in fashion. I wish this thing happened 20 years ago.
Right. It's no longer the male model. It's no longer Fabio with the beautiful hair and the muscles. It's guys like us,
I have a super dad bod. It's not just a dad bod. I have a little bit more of a gut, but I'm okay with it. It looks good on me. Like I said, I'm the size of a house, so it works, But yeah, definitely, man. Like I can't wait till the new commercials that we're gonna put out. I'm coming up with more and more stuff, and each time I come up with something, it's kind of funnier and funnier. But that first one, my day job, I ride around on a forklift all day, and I have the podcast going in one ear.
Yeah.
And I heard the commercial for the first time. I almost ran into a wall because I was laughing so hard, even though I knew what I wrote. Just how you did it. I almost ran into a wall, and I had to get talked to by my manager about it. But it was worth it.
It's worth it as long as nobody died. It's worth it, right? Or you didn't kill a bunch of whatever product you're moving around.
But yeah, it was so great. But yeah, you're doing a hell of a job, man. I want to come back so we could just talk about more ghost stories that happen in Air Park because I got my own stuff that we haven't scratch the surface on, but
let's schedule that, man. When we get off of here, let's schedule for you to come back and we'll talk some ghosts. I'm trying to. Everyone tells me I talk too much about because it's not the paranormal show anymore. Everyone but I always swing back to it because that's what I'm into. So we're gonna do it next time. We got
absolutely. Like I said, I got my own ghost stories and got some tidbits for you that you might enjoy, and then we also go back into some of the other stuff that me and you have talked about off air. About my personal background and my family heritage that you love because you said you're a big Civil War guy.
We have to have you back because I didn't forget about it, but it was just like we don't have enough time for that. But man, there's a lot of good stuff. But we'll definitely have you back on as a regular. And just in
by
closing,
the way,
man, thank you so much for letting me be. Thank you so much for letting me run your commercial on my show. Like I don't have any other sponsors. You believed in me. And ladies out there, just remember it's all about we're getting close to fall. It's all about, your pumpkin lattes and everything, and it's all about chubby guys with beards. So the chubby guy beard.
Bingo.
Yeah,
bingo.
It's happening.
Bingo. I couldn't say it any better myself, Cain.
All right. Well, hey, thank you again, man. And we will talk to you soon. Hopefully we get that new podcast idea launched, but you look for more of Kris and I to be yapping on something, right?
Absolutely.
All right. Take care, bud.
Easy,
have a good day, man.